So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Evolving Organisation Governance meeting. We're here on the 19th of February 2016. We have with us Mark Pell, Nick Osborne, myself, Sally McCutcheon and Tim Higgins. We're going to just make a start of this governance meeting. So Mark Pell is the secretary of this Evolving Circle. So Mark, if you'd like to go ahead and open the governance meeting, please.
Okay, let me just get that.
And then we're viewing here, what you can see in the video is Sally's screen. So Sally's going to join the meeting, and then we're going to navigate through the meeting using Sally's screen here on the screen share. So we start the governance meeting with a check-in round. In a check-in round is a chance for everybody to show up as fully as possible in the present moment. Chance to say anything that you want to say, to call out any distractions, anything that might be on your mind that you want to say and let go of. You can say it, and we go around one person at a time. No interruptions or conversation or crosstalk. While somebody's talking, we ask that nobody else talks, and anybody can start, and then anybody can choose to go next to check in.
I'm very happy to go first. I'm feeling really good today. Had a meeting scheduled in this morning that was cancelled quite last minute, so instead of going to that, I was able to get out for a walk in the sunshine this morning, which was gorgeous. Really happy to be with you here now in this meeting. Looking forward to the meeting. It's Friday, looking forward to the weekend, and feeling good.
I'll go next.
Okay.
Quite a stressful week. It's good it's Friday. It's good it's Friday afternoon. It's good to be in the governance meeting. Looking forward to next week. Got some interesting conversations to be had with potential partners. So really looking forward to next week. Yeah, that's it actually. Sun streaming in through the window. Fantastic. Checked in.
I can go next. Well, it's really good to meet up and have this meeting. Generally feel pretty relaxed today. I had, I've got a gardener doing the garden right now, so there may be a point that I need to go out and just respond to him, but hopefully that doesn't happen. And yeah, feeling slightly nervous, knowing that there's a possibility of this meeting's going to be put online as an example of having a meeting.
So that's the end of the check-in round. So we now move into administrative concerns, where we look at how long there is for the meeting and breaks and logistics and things like that. So I understand nobody has any hard stops in the next hour and a half, so we can go through to 90 minutes if we need to. We may finish the meeting before then. We don't have any breaks scheduled, so if you do need a break, then please indicate that. We may choose to break at any time. Okay, so now we're going to go and build the agenda. I see there's a RepLink election that's up there already. That's been triggered by the date of the previous RepLink term being up, or the current RepLink terms being up. And then anybody else has any items to add to the agenda, you can either add them using one or two words as a label, or choose from an existing tension if you've pre-crafted a proposal. So you can see this happening on the screen because we're seeing Sally's screen, and Sally is adding an agenda item here from a previous tension. Okay, so it looks like that's the only agenda item. Any other items to add? You can always add them in between items as well if you need to. I've nothing to bring right now. Okay, so well, let's go first with the client lead and BD roles. So Secretary, if you want to click on that, we'll see the proposal.
Yeah. There we go, should see it.
Okay. Thank you. So, Sally, we're going to move into the integrative decision-making process now. And Sally, if you want to describe your tension and then present your proposal, please.
Yeah, so this tension is an interesting one because I currently energise both the business development and the client lead roles. It's been something that's sort of simmering for a little while. It hasn't felt like a major priority to sort out because I do both roles, but I really feel that it's time to sort of get clarity on two roles and make sure Glass Frog is reflecting what is actually happening. And there's sort of two kind of main parts, I suppose, to this proposal. The first one is around invoices. Our current accountabilities say so the current accountability says requesting that it's client lead's accountability to request the relevant role to create and send invoices to clients. But I feel it's quite important for the client lead to send the invoice to the client. So I've changed the accountability to say requesting the relevant role to create invoices and provide all necessary information for this. And then I've also added an accountability which says of the client lead role, sending invoices to clients and giving permission for the relevant role to chase late payment. So it's kind of acknowledging that it may well be beneficial for another role to chase late payment, but it's really the ownership of the client lead role to be sending the invoices. So that's the first change, which you can see second on the screen. Sorry, should have perhaps said it the other way around. The second change is literally picking up an accountability from the client lead role, and I'd like to put it into the business development role instead. And that is the accountability that says using the Holacracy launch and implementation packages as a basis for writing, sending, agreeing and updating proposals and contracts with clients and gaining approval from certified Holacracy coach before sending them to clients. And the reason I think this accountability should sit with business development and not client lead is that at the point at which you are writing a proposal, the relationship with that person is still going to be quite new. And I feel that it's a bit soon. It doesn't really matter at the moment because I'm in both roles. But if these roles were held by two different people, I think it would be quite clunky and a bit too soon in the relationship to pass, to sort of change that relationship to someone else who's energising client lead role to update the proposals. So I think it should be business development. And that's the proposal.
Thank you. So there we have a proposal brought by Sally here in the client lead and business development roles. That's the end of the present proposal stage. We move into the next round, which is the clarifying questions round. So in this round, you're looking to ask any questions that will help you understand this proposal better. And what we're looking for in this round is not opinions or comments or judgments around whether this is a good proposal or not. We do that in the next round, the reaction round. We're looking for questions, and the impetus is you're trying to pull information from this person, and is there anything that you want to know to help you understand this proposal better? So, clarifying questions.
Sally, can I ask what you mean by, in my role as finance and legal, what you mean by giving permission? Is that on a client-by-client basis or generically?
I think that's client-by-client basis. Client lead owns the domain of all client contact. So it would be a requirement, given there is that domain on client lead, it would be a requirement for me to give permission to another role to contact a client directly. So I see that as that I'd give permission in an individual case for you in the finance and legal role to contact that client if there was late payment.
can I ask another clarifying question?
Sure, go ahead.
How do we define, who's defining late payment? Is that client lead or is that finance and legal?
I imagine it would be finance and legal as the person who would monitor whether the money has come in or not. So I guess it would really be, the onus would be on finance and legal to notify client lead that there was late payment, and then client lead would then be able to say, okay, thank you for letting me know, and I give you permission to contact that client about it. I think it's important for there to be communication between client lead and finance and legal roles if there is a case of late payment, because client lead might have some information about that, which is why it would be sort of case-by-case permission that finance and legal needs to come to client lead to get more information and get permission to make contact with the client.
Okay.
Do you have any examples where this has come up or this has been an issue?
What specifically with late payment?
Yeah, or the need for it. I'm just wondering what concrete, if you have a concrete example of what this tension's grounded in for making this proposal.
Well, the concrete example really stems from the second accountability there, which did say that the client lead requested the relevant role to create and send invoices. So the tension there is that client lead owns the domain for client relationships, and that I don't want another role sending an invoice to a client. As client lead, I want to do it myself.
Oh,
so that's the initial tension that it stems from. And then the late payment part is just sort of like an addition to it, and thinking through, okay, well, if I'm going to be sending the invoices, then I want to make sure that another role is able to contact that client in the case of late payment.
Okay, so it's tidying up the governance and untangling an overlap there.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about, do you have an example of how a concrete example of how there's a need to separate out or transfer the accountability onto the business development?
I feel that when I write a proposal for a client, that I'm doing that in the business development role. At that point that I'm writing the proposal, we don't know if a lead is going to become a client yet. And so I just feel that I am already, like I said, it's a bit blurred because I'm in both roles, but I feel that I am writing those proposals in the business development role, because I think it's too soon to identify a client for the client lead role at that stage, that you're just writing a proposal.
Okay. Thank you. Those are clarifying questions for me. Any other clarifying questions?
Well, I just got a couple of questions. So the first one's not really coming from a role, and it's just out of curiosity. I'm just wondering, but in terms of sending invoices or creating invoices, what roles do you see that would be creating invoices?
Finance and legal.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other roles, or was it mainly them?
I think that's the only role in our current governance that has an accountability for raising the invoice.
Okay. And the other question was, it's about the business development accountability. So on there, you're describing that maybe in initial stages of meeting the client, that the business development role will determine what their needs are and would write the proposal, basically. That's what it looks like to me, but they wouldn't necessarily. But the person in business development wouldn't necessarily be carrying out the work, I guess.
What's your question?
That it's possible for the business development to be writing a proposal, but not necessarily carrying out that work?
Well, yeah, if the business development and client lead roles were held by different people, then yeah, business development would be writing and agreeing the proposal and contract, and then passing over to client lead for implementation.
Okay, okay.
Any other clarifying questions? Going once? No, going twice? Okay, that's the end of the clarifying questions round. So now we move into the reaction round, and here we go round one person at a time, gets a chance to give their reaction, and this is a chance to say anything that you think about the proposal, anything you could see to improve it, what you feel about it, any kind of opinions, and the purpose of this round is to help the person who's making the proposal to improve their proposal. So as proposer, Sally, you may want to make some notes and for any amendments that need to be made. Okay, so let's start the reaction round with Tim, your reaction please.
I think it's probably right to ensure invoices go from client lead rather than F&L, so I'm happy with that. Although, having just checked accountabilities for F&L, there is no accountability for creating invoices. So I think we need to do that at some point. And if we don't do it now, I'll raise a proposal at a subsequent meeting. My other suggestion to improve would be finance and legal currently has no responsibility for notifying client lead of any late payments. So you might want to add a client some sort of accountability on finance and legal for that. Giving permission to the relevant role to chase late payment, as long as we recognise, Sally, that client lead may be the right person to chase that payment, which I think is what you're implying in that proposal. That there may be some underlying reason that only client lead knows with that client. So it may not always be finance and legal making the chase, but if there's nothing that the client lead's aware of stopping payment, then it definitely should be finance and legal. I'm only going to comment in the roles I'm energising, so I only feel it's appropriate for me to comment on that part of the proposal. Done.
Thank you. Mark, your reaction, please.
Yeah, well, the main thing that comes to mind from this proposal, I mean, in terms of the invoice side, I don't really have anything to comment on. That seems fine. But what stood out for me, and it's not, I don't know if I'm not really coming from a particular role, but it's more from my experience of being somebody who does similar kind of work where you had to make a proposal and then do the work. It just seems to me that I would feel not so comfortable having somebody write a proposal and then I would have to carry that proposal out. I would feel a lot better if I was if I'm the person that's going to do the work with the client, that I actually are involved right from the beginning, which would mean the proposal writing. So I'd be part of the whole process from the proposal writing and to carrying out the work. And I feel that's quite important, that there's a continuation with that. I think there's potentially, some problems and difficulties that can occur if you separate that process up in the way that it looks like from this proposal. So yeah, that's my reaction.
Thank you. And I'll give my reaction as well from my roles. This isn't as facilitated, this is from me in my roles. So yeah, thank you for bringing this proposal, Sally. I think it's really important that some of these relationships between these different roles are unpacked a bit and teased out. It's something that's puzzled me for quite a long time, how the relationship between the client lead and business development role should best work. Still not entirely clear to me, so I think this is going to be a good clarification. Yeah, my reactions, I guess, largely echo what Mark said. The thing around how important it is that I am in client lead role for some clients, and I know that if I'm going to be leading on an implementation with a client, delivering a contract or a proposal that has been written by somebody else, it does give me the EGBGs a little bit. There's that kind of the passing over of a big responsibility of delivering a contract like that. Somebody else can write that. So another role would be writing it, and then I would have to pick that up and deliver it. And obviously, you'd have to be working closely between business development and client lead. And there's nothing in the accountability on business development around liaising with the client lead about what's being delivered there as well. I know it's getting approval from certified Holacracy coach, and that would be the kind of common link between them. But I think that differentiating these between these two roles, differentiating this one about proposal and contract writing and the delivery, I think if you separate them from the two roles, I can see a case for doing it, and especially with new possible client relationships. But I think, for me, it probably causes more harm than good in terms of the potential for confusion, for miscommunication, and it kind of dismantles some of the integrity that exists when somebody is writing a proposal or contract that they know they're going to have to be leading on delivering themselves. I think that makes it more of a kind of cohesive whole when you're going to be doing that, as Mark was saying. So I think what I'm getting around to saying is, as Mark said, I think what your proposal has made me do is it has made me think, actually, I really do feel strongly that the accountability for that's currently that you're proposing is on business development, writing, sending, agreeing, updating proposals and contracts should really sit with the client lead role that is going to be delivering them. So that would be my suggestion, would be actually to leave it on there now. That I didn't realize it until you've proposed it, and now it's actually really clarified it for me that I think it would really make the most sense. Let me think if there's anything else. I echo what Tim said as well around the invoices and late payment and all of that. If client lead owns the domain for client communications, then client lead should be the one who's doing that, and that piece of governance does make a lot of sense. If I was to give any kind of coaching here, just putting on my kind of coach hat and to think around any coaching about this, if this proposal was to go ahead as it is, then it might be an idea to include in the accountability on business development around also seeking approval from client lead. So the client lead also got to approve those contracts before they were proposals and contracts before they're made. So it's not just Holacracy code, it's also client lead as well. But then that makes it a bit clunky, I think, as well. That you're needing to seek this one role's needing to seek approval from both of these, and it would be cleaner, I think, it feels from client lead. Okay, that's the end of my reaction, and that's the end of the reaction round. So we now move into the amend and clarify round, where, as proposer Sally, you get a chance to make any amendments you want to this proposal, make any kind of changes based on what's been said, and also say anything to clarify in response to what's been said as well.
Thank you. It's been really interesting to hear your thoughts. If I speak to the accountability around the proposals to start with, I can feel my kind of attachment and perception of the business development role changing as you were giving your reactions. And that's been really interesting, because I think I've very much brought perhaps my previous experience of a business development role into play here, whereby I'm used to the business development role, creating the proposals and sort of maintaining the relationship with that client, and sort of keeping contact with that client, through that handover process where they get to know the client lead, and and almost as the implementation starts. But I can completely see your point that actually it makes much more sense for me to adjust my views on the business development role and reconnect to that role in a new way, and keep the accountabilities as they are, because I can really see the argument for the same role having the accountability to create those proposals and contracts as well as seeing them through to implementation. So for that part, can I ask Secretary, I'd like to keep it as it is, so Secretary, could you just undo what I've suggested there for those?
Okay.
Delete the accountability on business development and bring it back onto the client lead role.
Okay, I can delete it. So do you want this one copied to the client lead? This one on the business development, this accountability on the business development?
You shouldn't have to copy it because it's already there.
Oh, okay.
So you should just be able to undo it. Perhaps if I change, I change the view.
Oh yes,
that helps.
I can see it. Yeah, I can see it. Okay, I can do that. I do that now. So I'm deleting the accountability there and reactivating. I can see, reactivating the one under client lead. There we go.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that change has come through yet.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes.
And there's no
Okay.
change to business development.
Okay.
So the other thing that I just wanted to do is have a look at the finance and legal role, because I was under the impression that there was an accountability on there for creating invoices. So let me check. So I think what I'd like to do, just to support this part, because there's no changes that I want to make to the invoicing. I think it is the right way to go about it. But what I would like to do is add an accountability onto finance and legal to create invoices on request from the relevant roles, and chase late payment, or inform relevant roles of late payment and step in if they're given permission. So Secretary, can I ask you to also add another part to this? Change the view. Can I ask you to add another part to this proposal?
Yeah, if that's okay to do it.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
So it might be easier, Sally, if you change that view back actually to the collapsed view in terms of what you can see on the screen.
So I'll go add a part. I'm just doing it here. Add a part, finance and legal. And okay, so I can add, yes.
If we could add an accountability onto the finance and legal role to say creating invoices on request from the relevant role. When I say relevant role, I'm referring to client lead, but the only reason I'm not putting it in there is in case, if we ever change the name of the client lead role, there's sort of a backlog of things to update. So I'm meaning the client lead role. And can I add a second accountability to say informing the relevant role if a client's payment is late,
I'll fix the spelling in a moment.
Informating.
I know.
I think we should keep it like that.
we should informate each other.
Yeah.
Informing the relevant
the
role.
way of informing, okay.
Informing the relevant role if the client payment is late.
Yeah.
And seeking permission to chase the client for payment. Can I put, so informing the relevant role if the client payment is late. Can I make that into a third accountability rather than having
Okay.
and? So then, so it's seeking permission to chase the client payment, seeking permission to chase the client for payment if it is late. And can we add seeking permission from the relevant role? Yeah, so creating invoices on request from the relevant role, informing the relevant role if the client payment is late, seeking permission from the relevant role to chase the client for payment. Yeah, that's my amend and clarify, if that's okay.
Can I time out for a moment?
Yeah, quick time out.
Yeah, so I just got a question about this because because all of this is like, it's not on the original proposal. So we don't have a chance to ask questions about it or respond.
Yeah, that's right. Well spotted, Mark. So what I would do as facilitator is I can test at any time a proposal, and for a proposal to be valid, it has to be related in some way to the original tension that was felt.
Okay.
So I can now, as facilitator, do some testing around how this amendment to this proposal is going to help the proposer resolve that original tension. If not, then it's not a valid proposal to bring as part of this item, and it would need to be done separately. So then it could go through the other rounds that we've been through. You're well spotted, because this is a sneaky way somebody could try and sneak in something different that's not related and get it past those kind of, if they had that in their mind to try and sneak something in and not get any comments on it.
I'm not being sneaky, I promise.
So you have to make a call on that. What to do at this point? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So the facilitator has to always be mindful of many things, but mindful of anything that's being proposed needs to be related to the original tension. Otherwise, it's not valid as a proposal. It doesn't meet the criteria for a valid proposal.
Yeah. Because at this point, I don't see it even as a proposal. I see it as an amendment to
it's an amendment
to the responses that were given.
Yeah, it's an amendment to the original proposal.
Yeah.
That now makes a new proposal.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Amended proposal.
Oh,
but we don't go back round. We don't move back round to the clarifying questions and reactions. Otherwise, we could be endlessly looping.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and that's where you have to see either is this okay to do it as an amendment, or go, no, it's not okay, we have to do it as a new proposal, so that we can question it and respond. Okay.
Yeah. And the criteria for valid proposals help sift out the ones that shouldn't be new parts of the proposal that shouldn't be included. There are some that could be if they are valid, relevant to the original proposal tension, and there are some that are not.
Okay.
So help us do that.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's well spotted. Let's time back into the process. So Sally, as facilitator, I'm just going to check with you this amended part you've added to amend this proposal. Can I just check how is that related to the original tension that you brought?
Well, as Tim helped me to identify in his reaction round, there is no accountability on finance and legal role to create an invoice. So it makes me realise that as client lead, if I'm requesting finance and legal to create an invoice, but there is no expectation on finance and legal to do that, it means that finance and legal could say no to doing that, and it really stops me in my tracks in my role as client lead. So it really means by creating the accountability, it just reinforces the accountabilities that are already on client lead, and enables me in that role to expect finance and legal to both create invoices, inform me if payment is late, and seek my permission and support me in chasing late payment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's implicit there in the original tension. You know, you need to be able to rely on that role to create invoices in the first place, and so that accountability needs to be on that role.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I can see how that proposal there helps resolve that tension. So yeah, you now have an amended proposal. Did you want to say anything else in response to what's been said, or is that the end of your amend and clarify?
No, that's the end of my amend and clarify. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So we now move on to the objection round, and here we consider the question: do you see any reasons why adopting this proposal would cause harm or move us backwards? If so, you have an objection. If not, you have no objection, and those are the two answers in this round: objection or no objection. I'll go around and ask each person one at a time, and in this round there's no crosstalk or discussion as well. Just thinking, Secretary, actually you could delete that part that says update role business development, because that's not part of this proposal anymore. That's you can put your cross next to in the top right corner of that part.
I'm just trying to find that part. Is that under the business development role?
It's on this proposal, the middle part where it says update role business development. There'd be a little cross in the top right corner of that box there, where it should enable you to delete that part. Not delete the whole proposal, but you should be able to delete that part. Is there not one there?
I'm just trying to find that part.
We can't see it on Sally's screen, but as Secretary you should be able to see that little cross there. Okay, if you can't find it, it's not...
Oh, hold on. Update role, client lead, yeah. So you mean just put a cross by that? No,
where it says...
Oh, business development. Oh, yeah, because business development's not changing.
It's not changing. So there's currently three parts to this proposal, but the middle part is development, and actually no change happening there at all, so that's not really a part of the proposal.
Okay, I see that, so I'll click that.
That part can be deleted.
Yeah. Yes, business development part is going... There we go. So it's got just the two parts that are going to change. Okay, that's right. That's better. Sorry, just kind of tidying up what's on the screen here. Okay. So yeah, we'll go around and ask each person one at a time, objection or no objection. So we'll start with Tim. Do you see any reasons why adopting this proposal would cause harm or move us backwards?
No objection, but...
those are the two answers in this, objection or no objection. Okay. If it raises a different
I will bring something to governance next governance meeting.
You can do that, yeah. Okay, so no objection there.
No.
Mark?
No objection.
No objection from me. And Sally, you get a chance to object as well?
No objection.
No objection. Thank you. So in the absence of any objections, Mark, as Secretary, if you could please click Accept Proposal.
Okay, it's accepted.
So that's accepted. And now we can see, are there any items that wanted to be added to the agenda? Any other items to add? Time out.
Can I just ask, Nick? I'm not particularly happy about some of the wording of that. I feel it needs to be changed slightly. I mean, I feel as though I want to bring that to the next governance meeting. Would I have an option to propose it now in this governance meeting?
Sure. So you have a couple of options. Okay. You could add it to the agenda now, and we could go straight onto that and tidy that up. Or you could propose it asynchronously in between meetings, where maybe you've got time to edit it, or in the next meeting.
Okay, fine.
Either way is fine.
Thank you.
Okay, time back in. Okay, so any items to add to the agenda? Yeah. No? Okay. So we just process that one item now. If there's no other items to add? No? Okay, so let's move into a closing round. So the closing round is the opposite of the opening round. It's the same thing. You can, it's a chance to say anything you want to say to feel complete on leaving the meeting. Anything, any reflections on how the meeting went, how you feel, any kind of learnings about the meeting, anything you want to say. Again, we go around one at a time, and no crosstalk or discussion. Anybody can start and anybody can follow.
I'm happy to go first. Feeling good and feeling really grateful for this process, because it's I feel like I've been given the opportunity to re-engage with the business development role without the filter of my previous experiences, and it's been really good to get your input on those two roles, and I'm really glad I raised this, even though I didn't end up making a change to the proposal. It's really helped me get a much deeper understanding of those two roles. So that's been awesome. Also really good to just understand the process a little bit more when a part is added in the amend and clarify. I'm sorry, Tim, that you didn't like the wording. Trust that it is safe enough, trusting the process and trusting that it's safe enough to try. Look forward to seeing any amendments, tweaks to the wording that you bring to governance. Yeah, feeling good. Thank you for your facilitation, Nick. It's been a good meeting. Thank you. Checked out.
I'm happy to speak next. Yeah, I found it pretty straightforward. I think the way the whole process went felt really good. I was happy that I could bring some of my experience along. It's not necessarily anything to do with my current roles, but it's more to do with my previous work, where I would write proposals and then implement them. And it felt like, oh, it's good to be able to bring that experience into the picture here, and it to be considered as part of the process. So that felt really good to be able to do that. Yeah, and also learnt a little bit more. My bell's just gone, so I've got to go and see that. But learnt a little bit more about Holacracy, with the whole thing with being able to amend on top of a proposal in that way. I better go and answer my bell. So that's me checked out. I'll be back in a second.
I can go next to check out. So yeah, found quite straightforward items process, quite interesting. Good. There was some learning happened from it. Nice quick meeting. And it's interesting, isn't it? Even though some things didn't change and some things did change, and it's part of the kind of incremental shifts that happen, and some of those shifts are of governance, and some of them are also of how we understand it as well. But it felt like it was discussed in an open and clear way. Happy with that, and yeah, found it kind of difficult to focus on the meeting personally as a facilitator, but kind of glad it's over now. And it's me checked out.
At least me. So I think we've ended up with a proposal that's safe, so that's good. We've gone through a good process. I think it's surprising that we found some fundamentals missing from finance and legal role. Like I say, there's one element that I feel the emphasis needs changing. So I will put a request through to governance asynchronously. It's quite interesting in this process that I didn't feel the need to do that in here. It would have prolonged the meeting if I'd objected. I didn't have an objection as such, so the proposal was safe. We are moving forward, so that's all good. I feel in a traditional organisation we could have ended up in a little bit of a discussion around things that actually don't matter. It's just the emphasis that I felt was wrong. So end of it. Good meeting. Checked out.
Thank you. And that's the end of the closing round. So, Secretary, if you'd like to go ahead and close the meeting.
Okay, here we go. And it's closed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cool.